I watched the most controversial movie among Christians, and this is how it went. The Last Temptation of Christ, directed by Martin Scorsese and starring Willem Dafoe, came out in 1988 to just a little bit of controversy, mainly due to its depiction of certain characters and story beats. This movie was censored heavily. Some states in America just straight up refused to show the movie in theaters. Growing up, I'd see the DVD of this movie at some stores and look it up and wonder, why was it so controversial, and why do so many Christians find it blasphemous to watch? Because I heard and saw that it was so blasphemous and a sin to watch, I never did. Until now. After watching the movie, did I understand completely why people were so upset? Yeah, but I think where a lot of people fail at understanding this movie is acknowledging what is fact and what is fiction. This movie is a fictitious imagining and a dramatically changed retelling of the story of Jesus. And the film doesn't even try to hide that, but we will get to that. But first, here are some things that I really did like about the movie. Willem Dafoe is a great Jesus. Shocker. Willem Dafoe being a good actor. Who would have thought? This is obviously a very different kind of story than what most Christians are used to in film, and I thought he did a great job. The entire scene of him in the desert being tempted by the devil was beautifully shot and very interesting, leaning into some other Bible stories. Also, Jesus riding on the donkey into Jerusalem and flipping out in the temple was very well acted and was handled extremely well. David Bowie's in this movie, for some reason. The shot of Jesus with the crown of thorns was genuinely bone-chilling and incredibly well done. And after watching this movie, I have a great reaction picture of Jesus doing the Leonardo DiCaprio gif. Now, the film does state in its opening crawl that this is not the Gospels, and it also makes itself very clear that this is not the historical recounts of the life of Jesus. And it takes some very creative liberties in its storytelling, which is why it was so controversial. There are some very interesting moments and creative choices in this movie, including, first of all, Jesus makes crosses for the Romans that they used to crucify other Jews. I do see what they're trying to do with that in an artistic irony kind of way. Judas in this movie is played by Harvey Keitel in possibly the worst casting I've seen in a movie since Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor. He puts zero effort into this movie and does not hide his Brooklyn accent. Jesus, come on, what are you doing over there? That was a terrible attempt, but that's all I got. The only way I can sum up the John the Baptist scene is maybe a extreme Southern Pentecostal service. Jesus hangs out in a house where there are a bunch of people getting it on. Lastly, I have not touched on yet the biggest controversial scene of the movie, and that's the crucifixion scene. Now, before I get into the last act of this movie, I do want to mention that about 30 minutes into this movie, I was not liking it. It just was not clicking with me. And then it finally did, and I think I finally see what this movie was trying to go for. Big spoilers for the movie from here on out. The big controversy for a lot of Christians back in the day is the final chapter of the film. While Jesus is hanging on the cross, an angel comes to him and tells him God said he could get off the cross and live a human life. And he does. He gets off. The last temptation of Christ is the temptation of living a normal life, away from the suffering and the sacrifice that he knows is waiting for him on the cross. He gets married, he has children, but not very long after he starts to live this life, things start to go awry. And from there, it just keeps ramping up, all culminating in Jerusalem burning down. The last of his disciples, old and sad, confront the old Jesus and express how this was never how it was supposed to go. The angel then reveals himself to be Satan all along. With Satan revealing who he was, he reveals to Jesus that this was all part of his plan. Jesus crawls through the fire out of Jerusalem and begs God to take him back after running away. He ultimately needed God, as all humans do. The film then cuts back to Jesus hanging on the cross, revealing that it was all a vision. The movie ends with Jesus calling out, "It is finished," and dies as the sacrificial lamb. While I see how some Christians could find this controversial, I thought it was a beautiful final act. I think it's a powerful ending, and it really got me thinking. If you or me were on the cross, and we were given the opportunity, hey, you can flee now and live a normal life, we would take it. And that is because we're human. And I think the film portrays that that is the big difference between Jesus and us. We are human, and he is higher. He is God. So is it blasphemous for a Christian to watch this movie? Is it a sin for them to watch this movie? No. After always hearing so many things about this movie and how it's an insult to Christianity and a blasphemy to watch, I thought it was actually a powerful film about why we need God. Hot take, but this movie does a whole lot more for Christianity than all of the God's Not Dead movies put together. Just saying. I would say it's not a sin to watch this movie because, just like another film, Passion of the Christ, it is a film that is leaning more on an artistic interpretation rather than telling the real historical story. Fact versus fiction. At the end of the day, the protesters that didn't want people to see this movie made more people want to watch it, including myself. Kind of a Barbara Streisand effect here. Be warned, while Passion of the Christ leans more into the grotesque violence, This movie earns its R rating because it has a fair amount of nudity, but I don't believe it's intended to be sexual. It's never in the forefront, and it's primarily when it comes to bathing pools or in a scene at a river. At the time of recording this movie is not available on VidAngel or any other platform like it, so if you're not comfortable with the nudity, I will warn you that you might not be comfortable watching this. But if you do want to check it out, it is available on most video-on-demand services as well as Blu-ray. Have you seen The Last Temptation of Christ? If you have, let me know in the comments, and if you're planning on seeing it, let me know. If you have any other movies that you'd like me to take a look at, let me know in the comments below. And if you do want to check out more video reviews, I do have a couple more available, and you can follow for more if you would like. That is up to you. This is 100% opinion based, and if you disagree with me, that is perfectly fine. I'm okay with that. As always, take care, love God, and love people.